You're listening to the Cooking from Scratch podcast. Welcome to today's episode where we dive deep into the transformative power of the subconscious mind with our special guest, Meagan Murtonen, a certified mindset coach. Together we'll uncover how our hidden beliefs shape our cooking experiences and influence what we eat. Meagan shares her unique perspective on making cooking a joyful and effortless part of our lives, encouraging us to reconnect with our intuition in the kitchen. Tune in to discover how to unlock a new level of enjoyment in cooking and embrace a healthier relationship with food. Hi, I'm Aliye Aydin, and with over 15 years of cooking in professional kitchens and at home for my family, this is the first non-cooking cooking podcast that shares how to make cooking easier so you can feel inspired and motivated to cook in the midst of your busy life. It's the beginning of 2025, and this year I've refocused the podcast and I'm leaning more into the healing aspect of homemade meals. A couple of years ago, I started eating high-protein meals, which resolved some health issues I was having. Then this fall, I started a cooking membership for high-protein eaters to share my favorite recipes and meal plans that I developed to help others on the same journey. When you tune into these episodes, you'll hear from health and fitness coaches and healers about the role and benefits of high-protein eating. Stay tuned for more. So I'm here with Meagan Murtonen, and she is a certified mindset coach. Thank you for agreeing to be here today on
Thank you for having
podcast.
me.
Yeah. I wanted to connect with you because you are a certified mindset coach, which means you work a lot with the subconscious mind. And I know that's like a word people may or not be familiar with, a concept people may or may not even understand what that means and how it relates to food and cooking. So can you explain a little bit more about what you do as a certified mindset coach?
Absolutely. So most people think about mindset and they think, just think differently, just choose positive thoughts. And that's fine. And you can do that temporarily. And then your subconscious kicks in. And so your subconscious is what runs your program. So when you think about your brain, this is, of course, what makes you brush your teeth in the morning without thinking about it, because it's a subconscious program that runs in our mind. It's why babies learn to walk so easily, because they don't have the conscious logic filter that says, if you take a step, you're going to fall. They only are in their learning stages. The subconscious learning stage from the ages of 0 to 7. So every child that you know under the age of 7, that's a subconscious learning stage. So you'll see the way they absorb information so quickly. You'll say something to your partner, and then all of a sudden your child is saying it too. And you're like, what? Where did they learn that? And it's because it's something that you say all the time. My daughter plays with like her dolls all the time, and she reenacts things that I say. And I'm like, oh my goodness, it's just such a reminder that everything that you know from the world when you were a child in the ages of 0 to 7 are literally running your program right now. Like, that's the power of your subconscious.
And I think that's such an important thing to remember when we're trying to do something new or change habits. People think it's about willpower. And I want people to understand that, like, no, this isn't something that could be running since you were before 7 years old. Like, kind of like it's not your fault. Yeah. I want people to be like, no, don't be so dang hard on yourself, because this diet culture thing is just so much about guilt and shame and, oh, I had the dessert or I had the thing I shouldn't eat. And I'm like, there's a reason you're doing that. Like, your mind is, right? Is it like programmed, or it's telling you, or however that works,
literally.
right?
So basically we each have our own individual model of reality. So our model of reality is the way that we see the world. You could also call it your comfort zone. So anything that is outside of your model of reality is like outside your comfort zone. It's unsafe, right? Your nervous system is going to say, if it's outside of the model of reality, then it's unsafe. And so the things that we process, so our memories, our experience, those cause beliefs that form in our mind. That belief triggers an emotion based on what we believe, and then that emotion triggers our actions. So we want to take different action, then we have to change the way that we feel about the belief, right? So if we believe, I will never be healthy, if you're facing health problems because something happened, you were in the hospital when you were a child, I'll never be healthy. And so now as an adult, you're like, I'm trying to get healthy, I'm trying to do this. But when you think about it, it's triggering an emotion of like sadness, despair from that time in the hospital, which you don't consciously remember. And so the thought is, I'll never be healthy. And so you don't take the actions to be healthy. The thought is, I will never be healthy. And then you take the actions that start the cycle all over again. So if you want to break the cycle, you have to do something different.
I love this. So that's the magic, is doing something different. It seems like the magic, though, is first being aware of the thought and the emotion, right? And then
Yeah,
how it's leading to your choice.
exactly. And like I said, it's
Yeah.
a cycle. I wish that I could like show you a picture of it. There is actually one on my TikTok.
Yeah.
I did a whole video of
Um,
the model of reality with like a diagram, but bringing back to the thought of that. So the easiest way is if you're looking at like as a pyramid, right? You have like your
yeah.
behaviors and your actions, and then you have your identity at the top of the pyramid. And so if you could make changes at the top of the pyramid, then everything else trickles down. But if you're only trying to change those behaviors and those actions, it doesn't change because you don't see yourself as somebody who does those things. And I
Right.
always say this, right? It's like it's about just doing and being that version of yourself, not thinking that you're going to try to be that version of yourself.
Right. And that's why food and eating and cooking and all that is just such an emotional thing. Like, I go back and forth with this. Like, I feel the emotion and passion behind it, but then I became a chef and I've been living that my whole life, right? But then some people just don't really seem to care or don't feel that connection or think the idea is absolutely bonkers if there could even be this type of connection between what we eat and our food choices and all that. I just love this. Does it relate to one of your most recent Instagram posts? I loved it. It's one of the parts of it. It said, nourishing your body isn't a chore. Can you say a little bit more about that and like this grand
Yeah.
scheme? Is it related to what we were just talking about?
Yeah, absolutely. So it goes right back to that model of reality, right? If you see yourself as somebody who, like you and I, we choose food that's whole. You cook what like is in your house and you make that, and you're not going out and you're not buying processed foods because it's just not what you do. I'm not
Yeah.
saying that you don't occasionally stop for something because you're hungry, but your identity is that you're somebody who cooks. And so for people who are listening who are like, well, that's not my identity, the thing is we can change that, right? We can make ourselves be somebody who enjoys cooking if you want to be that version, right? So it comes into how do you want to show up? I always think about our future selves, and nobody is looking at our future selves like and seeing them eating bonbons on the couch. Like
Right.
we're picturing them as like our best selves. So how do you
Right.
become your best selves? Well, you start by eating whole, nourishing foods because that's what's going to support you to do everything else. Because you can't stand there and like speak on stages and tell the world why what you're teaching is so important if you yourself do not look like somebody who has taken those actions and embodied that version.
Yeah, absolutely. So does that go along with the effortless part? Like in one of your posts, you're something about making it effortless. And I'm like, it feels effortless once what? Like your subconscious mind is on board? Is that what
Mm-hmm.
happens?
Yeah, absolutely. So what we do is we use subconscious techniques to access the subconscious mind. So stuff like hypnosis, tapping. There is a technique that you can actually go back to the root cause of a specific belief. So even though consciously you don't remember your 0 to 7, it could take you back to like a specific moment. We release it. We take the learnings that your subconscious wants you to know, and then you go forward with these like new lessons on life. So that's like getting rid of limiting beliefs. There's a specific technique called swish pattern technique, and you're actually replacing old behavior with this new behavior that you want instead. And you like see me, I'm literally swishing it because what you do is you think of that old version, but then you make this new version like so amazing in your mind. Like you feel it, you see it, it's there, and you actually swish it out and make it explode big and bright on the screen. And so you're not worrying about the habits. Like, yes, this new version of you has all these new actions and habits she does, but she sees herself differently, right? Like this old version of you is gone because you're now this person who gets up early in the morning, goes for a run right away, like has a healthy breakfast, whatever it is specifically to you that you feel would be the version of you that gets you to where you want to be. It becomes effortless. You're not trying to get up early. I get this question all the time. They're like, how do you get up so early, like
Mm,
consistently? And I'm like, because I see myself as somebody who gets up early consistently. Like my husband gets up at 5:30, I get up with him. And I do it because it gives me time before the whole household is awake, which is just my daughter and my dog, but it's enough.
Right. Yeah, it's enough.
And I need that time for myself. And I know that if I sleep in, and which I could sleep in for another hour and a half. I don't do that because I know that to best support myself, I need that time. And therefore, that's my identity. Like I just do it.
Right. So the benefit outweighs the discomfort in that way.
Exactly. Because, yeah, there's
Mm.
times where in the morning, like this morning, especially with the time change, I definitely wanted
Yeah.
to stay in bed, but I didn't. I still
Yeah.
got up. I had my coffee. I know I start my day with coffee. It's terrible for me, but whatever. It's one of those habits I'm never going to get rid of. I tried once. I did like all the subconscious work. I was like, hey, I'm going to start with all these other things and I'm going to
Yeah.
work out and I'm going to like actually eat breakfast before my coffee. And I did all the mindset shifts and it was fine. But like, I was like, I'm not enjoying myself anymore. Like
Right. And then you're
I'm
like, wait, but
not,
I still want coffee.
yeah. And you know what? Like my cortisol is fine. I don't like my stress level is good. My nervous system is good. If it was like affecting me, I would change it. But I'm like, I'm okay. But I'm aware.
I love that example though, because I think a lot of people do healthy things because they should,
Mm,
right? And you're very consciously being like, okay, I know these could be the issues with coffee, but I'm not experiencing it and I'm fine. And I am choosing to continue to drink my coffee. And that choice is where the power lies, I feel like, right?
yeah,
Where that,
absolutely.
I don't know, is that the effortlessness, that choice? It's not necessarily effortlessness. It's just that
Yeah,
good
because it's not
feeling
a
of,
choice anymore.
yeah,
It just is, right? I mean,
yeah,
like, yeah, I could, and like I said, I did it, and then I was like, this isn't. I could have kept doing it. Maybe it would have felt better, but I was like, I am actually not benefiting myself because now I'm getting on like my bike to do my workout with zero energy.
right.
I don't feel like this is benefiting me at all. Where instead I could come home after I drop my daughter off from school and do a workout and have a lot more energy to put into my workout, and it would just make me feel better overall. So
Right.
balancing those, right? And yeah, it really is being an awareness. Like, where are you? Where do you want to be? And what do you need to do in between? And so, when we're talking about the way that we're eating, it's like, okay, if I know that I see myself as this strong body, obviously I need to eat more protein. So, like, where are you not doing that? Where can you incorporate it? Like, how are you going to become that version of you? Because it doesn't happen overnight, it happens in action steps. And it's like, even to think about manifesting, like you think you're going to manifest that version of you, but it doesn't happen without taking action, right? Like
Right.
it has to come from somewhere. Even if you got like a random check in the mail, you still have to walk to your mailbox, open it up, like cash your check. It doesn't just like
Right.
happen.
Hey there, Cooking from Scratch podcast listeners. If you've been paying attention to previous episodes, you know that health is one of my biggest motivators for cooking. When I started eating high protein meals a couple of years ago, it gave me more energy and resolved other health issues I was having. This, in turn, inspired me to start sharing the recipes and meal plans I created using my 17 plus years of experience as a chef and recipe blogger with other health conscious eaters. If you're on the high protein meal train, or even if you're just curious about it, listen up because I have something that will help you eliminate the guesswork from high protein eating and easily hit 30 grams of protein at every meal. In my new free masterclass, 5 Simple Steps to Master Your High Protein Meals, you'll discover why wasting time and energy on hours of meal prep is not the answer and what you need to do instead to always have a craveable high protein meal at your fingertips. In addition, you'll also discover the most important changes you can make now to end meal decision fatigue and how to easily hit 30 grams of high quality animal protein at every meal without feeling stressed or overwhelmed. When you tune into this no-cost masterclass, you'll walk away feeling confident that you are on track to hit your health goals. And for all who attend this live free training, you'll get a free copy of my 4-day high protein meal plan, as well as the opportunity to join my high protein meals membership for high protein eaters. Now, all who registered for this no-cost class will receive a replay, but you're going to want to do your best to tune in live because the high-protein meal plan that's full of incredible chef-created meals that take less than 30 minutes to make will only be available to those who attend live. To save your spot for this free training, go to www.soulspacechef.com/class. Again, that's soulspacechef.com/class. nourishing.com/class, and I can't wait to see you there. Now back to the episode.
Right. I think that is such a misnomer about manifestation, right? You're just sitting there on your couch and then it falls in your lap.
Yeah, just like directly there. Yeah.
Right. No, there are action steps you have to take. So action steps for eating more protein would be like learning what foods contain more protein, deciding which of those foods you actually like to eat. I mean, that's a big one. I think a lot of people, again, get stuck eating things they don't like because they think they should. You know, that's a big one. So deciding what it is that you like to eat.
Yeah,
I love
100%.
I love
Yeah,
that.
and like I would look at, okay, so if I'm thinking I want to, eat more protein, I want to have this strong body. Well, why? Why do you want
Right.
that? Because, and then doing that like, well, why? Well, why? Well, why? And then reversing that. So when you go back to it, and it's like, how do I feel about this? When I go all the way back to this is my why, like, what do I believe about myself? Oh, well, like what's preventing me from actually eating that food? Or if you're sitting there and you're thinking like, okay, tomorrow I'm going to try, right? We always say we're going to try to do things.
Right.
Tomorrow I'm going to try to eat more healthy, whatever healthy means to you. And you're like, okay, I'm going to do it. And then you don't. And you're like, well, okay, I didn't do it today, but I'll do it tomorrow. And you either get stuck starting, or you might start, and then when you lose that willpower and that motivation, this is why we don't rely on willpower and motivation with my clients. It's, what do? You're self-sabotaging yourself because of your beliefs, because there's beliefs about health, about your worthiness, about deserving to take the time to carve out to eat a healthy meal, or to go to the gym and work out, to leave your kids with their dad and go do something for yourself, right? I see this specifically with moms that don't want to give themselves that priority, that self-care, or spend the money on the extra protein for themselves, even though they need it, right? So it's like really getting into the deep nitty gritty of why we're actually self-sabotaging ourselves. And it has nothing to do with trying to start something. It's like, what am I thinking about this right now? Like when I'm thinking about this, how do I feel? And if there's any sort of like negative feelings that float over you, it's like, well, why do I feel that way? Where is that coming from? And again, a lot of these beliefs are so subconscious, like you'll never be able to identify the root cause without going into the subconscious, but you can still try to like loosen up the beliefs that you have around whatever it is, just by really being in awareness and really thinking like, why do I feel stuck? Like, why am I actually not taking action? What's stopping me from right now going to the grocery store, buying the things that I need, and putting a meal plan together, even doing some meal prep so it's easier? Like those are all the little action steps to take, but that's like after the beliefs are changed, right? Because until you do that, you're going to keep hitting that spot where you are stuck in self-sabotage, and you keep wondering why you're stuck there.
Right. So for that motivation outside of willpower, you need to have a deeper connection to your why, which is what you're saying, which is what I tell people too. So I'm glad I'm on the right track. in my training that I do, I'm like, step number 1 to eat more high protein, know your why, because you're going to need it when you don't want to.
Yeah. Because sometimes you're like, because you could be, and I do this too, right? Like I'll be like, okay, I'm into like moving my body this week. I'm going to have all these plans to get all these proteins. And then sometimes I'm just like, I just want like a bowl of cereal, and that's all I want to eat. And you forget about it. But I love the concept of like, eat what you want and add what you need. Have you ever heard of that? It was like this thing I've heard on TikTok recently. It's like, okay, so you want the bowl of cereal, eat the bowl of cereal, and then have something with protein on the side, right? Like have some cottage cheese on the side, or whatever it is that you want to add. So it's like taking what you want. I want the bagel with cream cheese, and then I'm going to add some like slices of fruit on the side, or a green salad, or whatever it is. So it's like you get what you really want to eat, but then you're also adding what your body needs.
That's so interesting, because that's how I approach a plate of food. Like for this high protein thing, I wasn't just like carbs are bad, only eat protein. I was like, okay, well, if I put more protein on my plate, that not like naturally displaces other things, right? So naturally there's just going to be a little bit less rice, because I won't want to eat as much. I won't be as hungry. So when I'm explaining it to people, I'm like, high protein, and they're having a hard time. They're like, so carbs are bad? I'm like, no, carbs are bad. They're like, so what's on your plate again? I'm like, just more protein. My rice pile got a little smaller. My pasta pile, it got a little smaller. And now I just build my plates differently. And I love that idea, because it's almost like circumventing might be the wrong word, almost tricking yourself in a way. You're like, okay, you can have the thing, but you also can have the protein thing too.
Yeah, totally. And I think about this like all the time, especially now with the way the world is going between the US and Canada.
Right.
But I think about like when you picture your grandparents, like the ones who lived till they were 90, 100,
Yeah.
were any of them thin? Probably not.
Yeah.
Like I know mine wasn't. And I know like my husband's grandparents are still alive and they're pushing 100, not thin. The thin thing is a lie. So first of all, like why are we eating the way that we're eating? Like right now, like why do we feel like healthy means that we have to eat like vegetables and we can't have carbs and we can't have fat? It's like
nuts.
When you look back to the way our grandparents who lived till they were 100 ate, they weren't eating processed foods, but they were eating lots of fat. They were eating lots of, maybe not so much protein like war times, but they were eating like real whole nourishing foods.
Right.
And that let them live till they were 100. And did you ever hear them? Like I never heard my grandmother being like my great grandmother, she lived till she was 93, I think.
Right.
I never heard her say like, oh, I'm so fat.
Right.
Never, not once. Do you think she would ever care about that? And like,
Right.
also when you go through war times and starvation, you're like,
I was just going to say, there's totally different perspective there, right?
I'm not going to waste food. I'm going to eat whatever I can.
Yeah.
And instead of chasing all this food that isn't even real food in terms of being thin, it's like thin is not healthy. And somewhere along the lines, we were misconstrued to believe that when we look a certain way. And, that gets into a whole other conversation. But like the reason that when we are sick and we are not, I mean, aside from money and the financial gains that some people get from that,
right?
When we are sick, we are also lose our power. We're not as in control of ourselves in the world. And that's exactly where they want you to be. So if you want to take your power back, like fuel your body.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a big part of the thing we miss too is the joy in eating, which I also think is related to the community of eating. Like we don't eat in community as much as we used to. We're more likely to sip the smoothie in the car or go through the drive-through. Like there's not the sit down and the dinners, and that's why they say, well, there's all these studies that say like kids who sit down with their families a certain amount of times per week show improved learning skill. There's all kinds of science behind sitting down to eat a meal with people.
Yeah.
With your 3 nights a week or whatever it is. I think it's so powerful. We just forget, like, again, back to the chore. We think even eating becomes a chore. It's like, oh, why do we even have to eat? It's like, no, you get to sit down and relax and nourish your body and enjoy what's in front of you. And that's why for so long I was so hesitant to get into the like only eat this way and not that way type of thing, because I wanted it all to be joyful. Right. I'm like, doesn't matter. Like joy, like this is supposed to be fun because of the scents and the smells and the textures. That's great. But then I also understand that you don't want to eat Doritos all day long because you like crunchy things either.
Right. Totally. But that comes back to that whole like eat food that's whole and not food that's in a package, right? Like you could make a Dorito at home. I mean, it wouldn't taste quite the same because it's not chemically created to make you crave a Dorito, but you want crunch and you want cheese. Like you can make that.
Totally.
But no, the sitting down with community is a huge part. Like we sit at the table every single day. There's no exceptions. Even before my daughter, like my husband and I sat at the table together. We don't watch TV while we're eating. That's like always been a rule. When I was growing up, we would sometimes have the TV on eating, but not that often. Like we did have a TV in the kitchen because my mom would watch it when she was cooking.
Yeah.
But I'm a TV person. Like that's how I like completely turn my brain off. At the end of the day, it's like I need to sit and watch a show. I love to read also, but sometimes I'm like, this is too much for my brain. But I do not have the TV on when I'm doing other things, like cleaning or whatever. I'm not like watching the TV and doing that. Like whatever I'm doing, I'm being present in what I'm doing. If I'm cleaning, it's like I'm like in my head and cleaning, right? And I think that's the same with food is having that. And not only that, but for your digestion, it's way better when you're doing other things. Like you want to know why you're bloated all the time after eating pasta? Because like you're scarfing it down, you're watching TV, you're doing other things, you're standing up. Like there's so many ways to actually digest your food properly and
that are simple that like don't include ingesting a supplement even.
Totally. Yeah. We have everything that we need in real food, but there's so many there's so much money in the world that dictates what we should or shouldn't eat. But I think it's going to be really interesting to see what happens with food as if this trade war keeps going
I
and
know. I agree.
people have less money to spend on processed foods, because I always see people like in mom groups complaining like, oh, I don't have money for this or that. It's like, well, what do you normally eat? Well, I need these packages of da da da. And it's like, well,
Right.
you could literally go to the grocery store and get that for like way cheaper if
Right.
you just made it.
Right. No, I've been thinking about that too. It's interesting because I've shopped at the farm. I'm in California, right? So farmers markets are always available. And people a lot of times, especially with eggs, are like, they're so expensive. And I'm like, yeah, just wait. That's not the reason I've been shopping, because of the day that comes for an egg shortage. But I'm like, this is a more stable place. Like, I know the guy. He tells me where he gets his chickens. He tells me why he doesn't have eggs a certain day.
Yeah.
And now I'm still going to him every week. He's now selling out of his eggs all the time.
Yeah.
But I'm like, this is part of the reason that I'm shopping here. This stuff is fresher and I know what's going on. I'm just not staring at an empty grocery store shelf like, huh.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess I understand in theory what's happening, but why do some grocery stores have tons of eggs and some don't have any? And
yeah,
like, it's just more a direct way, I feel like, to get our food from the people that make it,
100%.
grow it.
I'm like really leaning towards that in my business. Like that's like the side of me that is me at home, right? Like I have a garden, like a big garden,
totally.
And we do a lot of gardening, and I cook everything from scratch, and I make bread, and I make pizza dough, and like all the things. Like give me a bag of flour, and there's a lot of things I could do with that. Got flour and eggs, like even more. And so it's like I want to teach people that there's like power in that femininity of like nurturing, but also that doesn't take away like that like darker feminine power of like standing in your presence and being magnetic and putting that out there to the world. And that's like, you know, the beauty aspect of it, even of why we want to like look good, because we can't deny it. Like we all want to look our best. Like, everybody's like, oh, that's so vain. It's like, no, we all want to look our best. We want to feel confident. We want people to love us. Like that's our core desire, is that all humans just want to be loved for who we are. And we want to be our authentic selves and be able to put that out there to the world. Like we want that. And when you picture that version again, like it's your best self, it's your healthiest self. You look your best, you feel your best, you're your most confident. And so it's like there's that duality of showing up as that version, but then also it's like that softer feminine of nurturing and being in the garden and growing your own food and trading with your community. And I think, it's going to be really interesting to see where things kind of go in the next little while. So
I agree 1,000%. So if people want to, like, going back to the subconscious thing, like if this is so new to them, what can they do to like kind of start getting into this world of like, well, I relate with what she said by not being able to use my willpower. I'm always starting over. Do they need to work with somebody, or are there like things that they can do really simple to just get started to notice what's going on with their subconscious?
Yeah. So, I mean, to really understand the beliefs, you'd want to work with somebody who can take you through some of those specific techniques. But there's, like hypnosis is a way to access your subconscious mind. And there's free hypnosis things all over YouTube. The only thing I would say with that is to make sure you use a reputable source, because also I could literally implement like any suggestions that I want into a hypnosis. And if you're like doing it while you fall asleep, or you're not really that conscious, you might not catch me saying something weird. So that could happen, just so everybody knows. Use a reputable source. Another thing on that side is subliminals. So again, same kind of concept as hypnosis, except you can listen to it while you're like moving around, right? So it's that subliminal messages that are underneath music. You don't hear the messages. It's just speaking directly to your subconscious. So you can find those online as well. Again, with those, it's even trickier because you like literally can't hear the messages. So you want to trust that they're good. EFT tapping. So tapping is something you can do on your own. There are specific methods to doing it, but like even to just start, so you tap on your acupressure point. So it's the top of your head, in like between your eyebrow and your nose almost. I'm trying to like say where it is for people listening. The side of your eye, like your temple area, underneath your eye, close to your nose, underneath your nose, in like the crook of your chin, under your collarbones, kind of where like your bra strap would be if you wear a bra.
Right.
And how am I doing this? There's a couple more that I've added in recently. So under your bra strap, and then you can like finish off with your wrist. So there's a few more that I do now, my knee tapping method, but those are like the basic ones. And you can just like eat. So there's like a whole way you can get rid of limiting beliefs doing this also. You can tap on, even though I'm feeling really unmotivated right now and I don't want to work out, I deeply and completely love, trust, and accept myself. And then you could tap on that. And when you think about that belief, you can say like on the scale of 0 to 10, like, how do I feel right now? How strong is this belief? Like, I'm so unmotivated being 10, and you want to bring it down to like a 0. And then what you could do is go around again and be like, I am so motivated right now, right? And start tapping in like affirmations. I'm so motivated. I can't wait to work out. This is going to make me feel so good. I feel so good when I work out. And so you can do that. So this like rewires your mind, but it also makes your nervous system feel safer to accepting this suggestion. So people don't really know why the energetics of this work, but it's the somatics, the energetics, and the subconscious all working together. They haven't really had scientific studies say like why it works at this point. They're just like, for whatever reason, it works, and people get down to like that 0, and then it just like all flows together.
Right.
I think like in traditional Chinese medicine, it's all about qi moving. Right. And so when you tap on your energy points, like you're physically moving your qi out of your body and in around your body in the flow. And so I think it has to do with just like you're displacing the energy that's like stuck and stagnant and moving it around. So everything can, I think there's a lot we don't understand because energy is everything. So,
right. Right there with you.
Yeah.
If people want to work with you, how can they get a hold of you? What are your handles?
So my Instagram is Meagan Murtonen .com, not .com, at Meagan Murtonen. So MEAGAN and then MURTONEN. And then my TikTok is that, but with a dot in between my two names.
Okay. Awesome. That's the best way to get a hold of you and see what you're all about in terms of your programs and such. That's awesome.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I love that. Well, thank you so much for talking to us about the subconscious mind, and how it relates to eating.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. It was so nice chatting.
Thank you for listening to this episode from start to finish. If you have any questions or comments about what was shared, please click on the link at the top of the show notes to send us a note. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider leaving us a review on Spotify or wherever you listen to podcasts, and share this episode with your friends.